What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with me, Chris Kane. And we're getting started here. So, y'all know when these glasses come on, we talking about the cap. All right? So, usually when I put the cap glasses on and talk about the cap, it is a bad thing for Dolphins fans because we have not done well by our cap. I talked about Tua being 36 million and 53 million, and we have the cap casualties, we had to cut people. This is one of the rare times the cap glasses are actually a good thing. Because depending on how the NFL makes revenue, which is a tremendous amount of money, sometimes the revenue is so much that they actually increase the cap from year to year. They do this in the NBA as well. Baseball, I don't know, they got their own thing going. I don't know what happens to baseball. But anyway, as of now, there's a projection that the cap could go up anywhere from 10 to 20 million. So the cap will go up. We just don't know exactly where that number is going to fall. And what that means is that if you were like squeezed thinking you had to fit next year's budget into what this year's budget is, you now have some breathing room, right? And so for the Dolphins, this is really good in the sense that we may not have as many cap casualties, right? So on the offensive line, we were almost certainly losing both guards. We're going to lose probably Javon Holland, maybe a couple linebackers, DBs. Like a lot of people were up in the air who maybe wanted a few million more dollars than they got before. But when you're squeezed up against the cap, a few million dollars puts you over. You can't do that. So let's say the cap goes up 15 million. You may now be able to franchise a player for a year. That's a good player. And then maybe they can play themselves into a lower contract next year. They can play themselves into a bigger contract as well. But it just allows you to have more freedom. And of course, there's going to be restructuring going on as well. So when they restructure Bradley Chubb's contract, which I assume they're going to do, if Armstead wants to restructure, if they restructure Tua next year, like it opens up more money. So now instead of just how do we hold on to guys that we kind of like but don't love, maybe it's like, hey, there's a free agent out there that before we thought we had no chance of getting. But now with a little bit extra money, we can make a move there and then maybe let some other people go. So it just gives you more freedom in how you kind of want to construct your team, and you just feel less restricted. It's just like if you had a budget to like buy a car, and so you want to buy a car for 10,000, and you're trying to fit everything, and it's like we have 4 cars at 10,000. You're like, I don't like any of these 4 cars, and now you walk in, actually have 15,000 for a car. And it's oh cool, we have 6 more cars in the back. It's like you may end up still getting one of those first 2 cars that were 10,000 or whatever, but that extra freedom, oh, let me see those other 6. They maybe something good is happening over here. And so it's a good deal for the Dolphins, like specifically. There are other teams, unfortunately, like the Commanders. There are teams like, I want to say the Raiders have a lot of money going into next year, where they have so much cap money now that they may be able to poach more free agents. So this is a good thing in terms of us not being capped out. But the teams that had a big cap, like Washington has a giant cap for next year because they're paying Jaden nothing. Terry's under a contract already. And everyone else on their team is kind of in their third, fourth, fifth year, or they're a little bit older, like a Zach Ertz or a Bobby Wagner. So they have all this money to spend. And now you say, oh, we have 10 to 15, 20 more million? The idea of maybe getting T. Higgins was like, that will be our prize possession. But now they might get T. Higgins and someone else, and then it becomes a situation. But for us, for now, this is a good thing because it is less constricting, and this may even change the way the Dolphins decide to draft because if we can keep 1 or 2 of our guards, then we may not draft a guard with our first pick, which means we're more likely to draft a different position, like safety. If we need to go after a quarterback, we can do that, and possibly even trade back. Let's say the player we want is lower on most people's draft board. We have the 13th pick. There are really good players available at 13. We might be able to trade back to 19, 20, pick up an additional 4th or 5th round pick, and now we can further fortify the team. All because we were able to re-sign Robert Hunt. And now we don't have to worry about getting, I think his name is Banks from Texas. We don't have to worry about going to get him. We can re-sign him, and now we can rebuild our team through the draft a little bit more adequately. And I think it's just a good situation. I did not see this coming. And any excuse to put these glasses on, I'm going to do it. All right. I want to put them on one episode and just never talk about the cap. He said, oh, you got the cap glasses on. So we're going to talk about the schedule, which is dumb. But I did it because it was fun. And you got what you got. All right. Changing gears, we want to give a big shout out to Jonnu Smith for making the Pro Bowl. Now, technically, Travis Kelce was in a Pro Bowl, but Travis Kelce has a pretty important game a week from now. So he's not playing in the Pro Bowl. So next step up, Jonnu Smith. And we talked about this on the pod earlier. Jonnu's had a breakout year for himself. 8 touchdowns, almost 900 yards. He was easily the most dependable guy, especially like in big games. Him being in the middle of the field, his tackling, breaking ability, he's been great all year. It was a great find in the offseason because the Dolphins, other than Gesicki for like a year, have not been good at tight end. And Jonnu gave one, like an athleticism. Jonnu's run after the catch was fantastic. He'll catch a pass, break a tackle, and get 5 or 6 more yards, where it was before catch, kind of cloud of smoke situation. And honestly, I feel like he should have got the ball more. I think we really want to hit the receivers on the outside because they're fast and highly paid. But Jonnu was very productive. And he's athletic. He's relatively young. He's been in the league for a while, so he's a vet while still having some youth. And he had solid hands. He was good near the red zone. I thought Jonnu was great all year. I thought he would be snubbed for the Pro Bowl. Like, I'm using snubbed, meaning he won't make it. I don't think he should have gotten over Travis Kelce. But because Kelce has a big game to play, guess what, baby? Hey, 10 years from now, when Jonnu says, I made the Pro Bowl, no one's like, well, you got in because Kelce didn't make it. Don't matter. Just like if you're an interim champion, you still got the strap. You still got it. Like, hey, I'm the champ, baby. It don't matter that the champion had to put the champ belt down for a while. I picked it up and look at you. So, happy for Jonnu. This is probably going to be an issue at some point when he comes up for a contract because you being a Pro Bowl receiver, being a Pro Bowl tight end, being an All-Pro, any like postseason award is going to up your value, right? So if he was maybe looking at 2 years, $20 million, that might jump to $24 million, and we'll figure out cap stuff down the line. But shout out to him, congratulations. It's a big honor because when we got him, no one thought Jonnu would be a Pro Bowler. That wasn't a thought. It was okay, cool. We might get a little bit better at tight end. The middle of the field is usually kind of open for the Dolphins. The receivers are usually running deep ends, and that little middle pocket is kind of open. All right, maybe he'll get like 50 catches, 500 yards, whatever. And then he ended up being a really breakout for us. So congrats to him. Some guys never make the Pro Bowl that are really solid players. So congratulations to him. Give it up for Jonnu. And finally, we're going to talk about Achane, who had a great year. He did not make the Pro Bowl, but that's because there's just a lot of really good running backs in the AFC, and it just worked out that way. So the reason we're bringing Devon up is because he did something no Dolphins player has done before. He had 6 rushing touchdowns and 6 receiving touchdowns this year. He's the only player to ever have 6 of both. And he had about 1,500 yards total. I think almost 80 catches, which is a lot for a running back. That's very like Reggie Bush-esque when he was with the Saints. And the biggest question mark for him coming out of college was he's a little undersized. We see him. He looks like he's 104 pounds. When you watch him play, he has the protected like helmet now. So the helmet looks even more giant and his body looks very small. But when he gets out, he's out of here, right? He's been great. And he is not Christian McCaffrey, obviously. He's not Saquon. What he is I guess a version of what Alvin Kamara is. And I'm saying a version because I'm not going to insult Kamara, who's multiple-time Pro Bowl, I think All-Pro once or twice. Kamara's amazing. But Achane, I think, can grow into a Kamara-like role where I think Alvin Kamara is undervalued and been kind of underrated, but he's also been injury-prone a little bit. I'm hoping Achane doesn't get hurt. But when Kamara's healthy, he seems like he's just moving at a different tempo and speed on the field, right? He doesn't ever get blown up hit. He's a great receiver. He's decent in between the tackles. I think the goal for any running back who's built like Achane is to be like a Marshall Faulk type. Now, I will never, until he shows me, blasphemously say, oh, he's like Marshall Faulk. That's just, there's a difference between what I just said. I think the goal should be to be like Marshall Faulk, but don't mishear what I said to say that he is like Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk was a different dude. He literally 1 year, I think it was 98 or 99, had 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season. It's different out here. He's a different animal, and he was getting 16 to 20 touchdowns a year. Marshall Faulk is one of the best of all time, underrated, even though he's a Hall of Famer. But The idea is that Christian McCaffrey, I guess, would be the closest approximation to what Marshall Falk was. But for Achane in this offense, he's always like the outlet receiver, and they send him out on option routes where he runs up to the linebacker, goes left, goes right, and then kind of gets open. I think 75 catches a year is very much on the board. And I think depending on what the Dolphins' offense is like next year, like if teams keep playing that too high where we can't throw the ball deep, then we can just dink and dunk our way down the field. I don't why not 100 catches? Like if I'm him, I want 100 catches, I want 15 to 20 touchdowns, 1,000 yards rushing. If he does that, I don't think it's off the board for a thousand season, which will put him in that very small category of a Marshall Falk. But again, don't confuse what I said. Not Marshall Falk. Levels to this. But being thought of in the same breath, I think would be the ultimate thing. But that's a next year thing. This year, very solid. I think he was the most consistent offensive guy all year. Again, highly productive receiving, highly productive rushing, score touchdowns, and honestly stayed pretty healthy, which was surprising again given his stature. So big ups to Devon, big ups to Jonnu, big ups to the cap glasses, because the cap just got a little bit better. And I hope my episode today made your life a little bit better. Thank you for tuning in for Dolphins Daily. Again, thank you for all the love, tweets, follow, subscribers, all the good stuff. You guys have been amazing. We're fast approaching 400 subscribers, which is crazy. We haven't even been here for a full month yet. So thank you for all you're doing. Let us know in the comment section what you want us to talk about. Draft coverage is coming. I know y'all like when you talk about individual players. I'm kind of waiting for senior week to kind of pass, and then we'll get to players down the line. But as always, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.